Cup of Joe with Grampa Dez. Hey Ryan, how you
Hey,
doing?
I'm doing good. Enjoying a fresh cup of Dunkin' Donuts.
And I got a Tim's, one cream, one sugar.
I've never had Tim Hortons, but I suspect it's,
Oh, it's
it's
so good.
probably the same as Dunkin' Donuts, but I don't know.
It's like crack
Um,
cocaine.
yeah, I'm
It's just
from
great.
Massachusetts, where Dunkin' Donuts started, and
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like basically, probably since I was 16. My wife yells at me because we have a coffee maker with a French press, and
Yep.
she's like, "You go to Dunkin' Donuts and spend $4 every morning," and I'm like, I can't help it. It's just it's my
So
it's a religion up there, and it's
yeah.
kind of stuck with me.
So if you watch my show with Lance Storm, and that was on Christmas Eve. So if you haven't, you can go back and watch it. Anybody watching can say the same thing. And Lance is, former WWE superstar, and he's probably got a lot of money. I don't know. But he's the same, goes to Tim's. And the thing is, it's not how much you make, it's how much you save. So you said I spend $4. I spend $2.35, and I get 2 extra large coffees for that
Oh,
because
nice.
I use their app. And if you use their app, you get points, you get free coffees all the time, you get specials. They send you weekly specials. This week's weren't that good, so I've actually just been having coffee. But normally I can get like a breakfast sandwich and a coffee for like $3 or something,
That's not
and
bad. I mean,
and the
mine was mine
coffee's
was
great.
mine was free this morning because I had
Oh,
enough
cool.
points for a free coffee with the app.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah. And I'm the same. Like I make coffee every morning too. So I think for me, it's like because I work from home. So it's nice getting out of the house and, just going out and getting some fresh air and getting my coffee. When I was working in an office, I would walk every day, every morning. It was about a 10-minute walk there, 10-minute walk back, and get my coffee. So I had a nice little 20-minute walk and I get a coffee. And I do that twice a day. So once in the morning, once in the afternoon. And
yeah,
I drink a lot of coffee.
no, me too. Is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
really? I woke up this morning. I knew we were having the show today, and I'm just like, let me check what the weather in Winnipeg is. Is it
Oh,
really a high of -4 today?
Fahrenheit, yeah. I mean,
Ay,
because it's -30 right now.
jeez.
Yeah,
I looked it up, and I'm
yeah.
like, cold warning, extreme cold warning. Holy
So
moly.
so it's 27 now, actually, -27. When I woke up, so yesterday morning, I didn't realize how cold it was going to be. And my day job is a transportation coordinator. And if the temperature is -45 or below, I have to get up early in the morning and cancel transportation for
Yeah.
like 1,000 people. And so I have to get up and check the weather when it's going to be cold. But yesterday I didn't realize it was going to be that cold. So then I get a text at 7 a.m. and are we running today? And I was like, well, I'd assume so. And then I look at the temperature and it's -44. So, with the wind chill. So it was like -32 or something, but then, a little bit of wind gets up to 44. So then I look at the forecast. Today they were forecasting it was going to be -49 at 6 a.m. So then I was ready this morning and I checked and it was only quote unquote -42. So we didn't have to cancel.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I put my daughter on the bus, like I get her up, I bundle her up and, in her parka and mitts and boots, and put a blanket over her, and then the bus comes and gets her. And yeah,
I know. I mean, I remember those days. I used to work in downtown Boston. I used to take the train into the city, and it was like 2004. It was right after the Patriots had won the Super Bowl, and
Oh yeah,
it was like
the
negative.
Red Sox won that year too, right?
They did, yes.
Yeah.
They won. I had moved down to Florida in June of that year.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's nice down here right now. It's a little hot, not that, and you're expecting any sympathy from you, but it's
No.
it's a little unseasonably high. It's like going to be 88 today, which it's a little warm, but I mean, it's
My
packed. Streets are packed, tourists, everywhere. It's just that time of year.
one of my podcast partners, the other Ryan Frederick, other Ryan F.
Yes.
He's in Dallas, so he was telling me on Monday, it was like I think he said high 80s or low 80s, but they were expecting it to go down to like 40s. The next day, and he's like, so he's complaining because the temperature changes so much, and then it affects his allergies. So I don't know if you can tell, but I've got a bit of a cold, and he said it was the same thing with him. Like, so the two of us, if you listen to our podcast from Monday in the clinch on the Fight Game Media Network, little cheap plug there on the screen, and there's your plug. We're both sounding like, not quite death's door, but he sounded worse when he had COVID, and he did the show when he had COVID one day. So,
oh geez.
Yeah, he caught it at UFC.
I had it like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yep. For 2 years of basically trying to
Florida
as much as I could. N95 masks.
Yeah.
You name it. Not going out, avoiding movie theaters, but I don't know how, but I got it. Thankfully it was like literally just a cold, and in 3 days it was done. My wife had it too.
Well, the funny thing is, I think I might have had it about maybe 2 months ago, because there was one day so my daughter had a fever, like a really high fever, and we were going to keep her home from school. And then the next morning she woke up and the fever was gone, and she didn't have any other symptoms. So we sent her to school. And then that day I started feeling sick, and I had a fever. I was nauseous. I just like a bunch of different symptoms. And the thing is, like, I wasn't going to go get tested, because just testing takes the rules the way they were then take you out of commission. Like, you have to take like 3 days off or whatever, waiting for the test results. And they were hard to get tests anyways. So I just said, I'll wait it out. And I told my boss, I said, this is how I'm feeling. I said, I think I'm just going to take the day off and sleep. So I did that. By the end of the day, my appetite was back. I still had the headache, but I started to feel better. And then the next day I felt fine. Next day, my wife has the exact same symptoms I did the day before. And then the day after that, my oldest son, who had been over the first day, he got sick. He got tested, and he had COVID. So I think we probably all had it, and just different strains. It affects different people different ways. But this cold that I've had, now I got tested. I had a rapid test, and I'm negative, but it's a cold, and this cold has lasted like a week. So I mean, that's usually how long my colds last. So that's not abnormal for me. But I haven't had a cold in 2 years, because I'm, you're wearing masks everywhere. You're washing your hands 8,000 times a day.
Yeah.
You're not seeing anybody. But I went to work last week, and, we have a mask policy there, but there's like 4 different people that I saw not wearing masks. And then, the next day I get sick. Now, I'm not saying that's why it happened, but you never know. I don't go anywhere else. So, unless I just happen to randomly catch it, I probably got it at work. Because I go in once a week to the office.
Yeah. I usually go in once or twice, but I work from home. Since it's been nice outside, I can see him.
Yeah, I can see your atrium there, and I'd love a thing like that. You can see just to my right. I think you're left as you're watching. I got a really nice view of like my street and and everything. But right now, if I open that window, all I see is snow. We have so much snow this year. It's the 3rd highest snowfall on record for a winter so far, and we're not done. Like, I mean, we might have another month of snow. Hopefully not, but I mean, we might hit the record. And they talk about global warming, so I don't know. So you're in Florida. Whereabouts in Florida? Is it Fort Myers?
Yeah, I'm in Fort Myers. It's most people know it's like where the Red Sox train. Southwest Florida. There's Naples, Fort Myers, that area.
So deep south, like so closer to Miami than Jacksonville.
Oh yeah, my head office is in Jacksonville. That's a good 6 hour drive from me. But basically straight shot across from Fort Lauderdale. Alley
so
there.
Not too far from Orlando.
No, Orlando's a good about 3.5 hour drive or so if you take the back roads up there.
Oh, and that's north?
Yeah, it's north.
Okay. So that's the only place in Florida I've been is Orlando.
And Tampa's north. Tampa's about 2 hours, an hour 45 from here.
Yeah, because when we went to Orlando, we were going to go to Tampa, and then we just didn't want to do the drive because we didn't want to miss a day at Disney World. But
yes,
yeah, so we've gone to Florida a few times, like Disney World, I think 3 times. And one year we went, it was around this time of year, and we go to the adventure park, the water park, and its temperature that day was in the low 40s.
Oh,
So we had the lifeguards, like there's nobody in this water park. The
no.
lifeguards are wearing parkas and we're running around in our shorts, because we're from Winnipeg, and like 40 in February, like if
Yeah,
it was
that's
here, like there'd be people running around in shorts here. And so it was funny because the lifeguards, they all wanted to take pictures with us because they couldn't believe like we were insane. And
yeah.
and they ended up closing the park at like 1 o'clock because I think we and maybe like two other families, not the whole park, but just the water park, because like who wants to go down a water slide when it's 40? But we did. And at night it was getting to like the low 30s because it was we could, when we were in the pool we were staying in the family one, can't remember what it's called, Century.
Yep.
And there we could see our breath when we were in the pool. So I mean, you blow and you see the air. So yeah, it was like 30. But so
Yeah.
in the pool was nice because it was heated. Then as soon as you step out of that pool, it's like, oh my god, it's so cold.
Yeah, we it was down in the 30s about right around 3 weeks ago or so at nighttime, and long it gets up to maybe like the 60s, but for my kids that were born down here, that's a cold day, so they're in pants, sweatshirts. I've been down here long enough that I try to be like, it's not that bad outside, but then I go out and I'm just like, I need a jacket.
Really?
I've adapted to Florida after
in the 50s, you're wearing a jacket. Oh,
yeah, just a little light jacket, nothing
yeah.
heavy. But
Well, I so just a little behind the scenes here. Ryan actually reached out to me and asked to be on the show, and like I think eventually I probably would have got to you, but I'm glad you asked. And I always say, and I don't say it enough actually. So for people watching, like if you want to be on the show, hit me up. Like I'll try to get you on as soon as I can. I really enjoy these conversations because I honestly, like, I don't know if we definitely have never talked like face to face like this. I don't think I've ever met you in
no,
person.
I've only been I was on David's show once. That was like my first pod and only podcast.
Yeah, and he actually, like, I talked to Dave, like I do DMs with David. I talk to him more than my wife maybe. I get like 25 DMs from David a day. It's awesome. Like, and back and forth. Like it's not just one way. And he raved about the podcast with you. So when you asked to come on mine, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll have to have him on my show or whatever. And then, because I don't normally interact with you a lot, you just weren't on the top of my head. So I'm glad you asked because I like to get to know people, and you're in Florida, and I wasn't even sure, like, because I was looking at your Facebook profile and I couldn't tell, like, because you're originally from Massachusetts and moved to Florida. I thought it was the other way around, but so yeah, that's, I mean, like you said, I guess a lot of people from the Northeast end up in Florida at
There's
some point,
a ton of people.
Yeah,
most of my friends down here are from Massachusetts. Like we all kind of banded together. We had that in common. Like we're all Boston sports fans, and I mean, there's two places, massholes, lovingly call them, go. It's either Florida or Southern California. It's one of two places for the most part.
Well, and here, you, like, for Winnipeg, when people get to be a little bit older than me, and well, some people my age, if they made a lot of money, they end up, summering in either Florida or Arizona. You go to Arizona and like half the population there is probably from Winnipeg. Like it's, and I think the rule is as long as you spend one day less than 6 months down there, you're okay. You don't have to get a dual citizenship or whatever. So
no, there's a ton of, especially the blue plates, the Ontario folks. There's just and it's been 2 years since they've been able to come down here, so it's just
right.
Flooded.
Oh, so they're coming now.
They're coming down. A lot of them have summer homes, and I do landscape sales for because everything's gated communities, homeowners associations. So there's a lot of clients that are from Canada that on HOA boards and stuff that I've been.
Do they do a lot of the like the B&Bs, like or like where they'll rent their house out? I don't know if that's
a lot of them.
Called.
Just there's a lot that bring their RVs and
okay.
The RVs are more of the Quebec because you go to those parks and they're all speaking French there. But then there's just a lot of people that from around the Toronto area that have, some bucks that just, have a separate second home down
Yeah,
here.
a lot of people in Toronto have a lot of money. It's
Yes.
the house that we live in. I mean, we have a really nice house, and and it's in Winnipeg. It's I don't want to put it this way. A house like we're living in if you want it in Toronto, you're well into $1 million, and we're nothing close to that. So, it's we're lucky, and the only thing is putting up with the weather. So every year at this time, my wife's like, how many more years till we can retire? Do we want to get a summer place in Arizona or in Florida, or maybe, do we just move and go to like Victoria or something like that? Like I would love to live in Victoria. I don't know if you're familiar. It's on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, so it's just west of Vancouver.
Okay, yes.
So it's a little island, and Victoria is the biggest. It's actually the capital of British Columbia. But it's not like it's maybe like 200,000 people in the city. You can take a ferry from there to Vancouver or to Seattle, and it's about the same distance. And I grew up, I didn't grow up there, but I lived there for 3 years when I was a kid. My parents moved out to BC because the job market here was really bad. Then they go out there, and then the job market is really bad out there, so we ended up coming back here. But I loved it there because the temperatures, here, like you said, you looked at the temperature and it's like minus 40. Next week it might be, like in the 30s. So, like that's how much of an extreme we get. And in the summers, it's probably hotter here than it is in Florida. Like we'll have days where we're over 100. So it's like weird. It's extreme. So you go to Victoria, it never gets below 25, and it never gets higher than 70, like all year. Like and they get a lot of rain, but like no snow. Very, very rarely they get snow. So yeah, I got, and I got some friends out there too. So, and then it'd be nice to be so close to Seattle. I got a lot of friends in Seattle. I could, go visit or whatever. So, that's kind of a dream. Maybe like 10 years from now to live in Victoria. Yeah.
But speaking of, Canada, one of the things I want to talk about,
soccer, right?
Canadian soccer team, man.
Yeah.
Because, dude, they're the real deal. Like,
yeah. So you're talking men's, right?
Yes, the men's soccer team. They're first in the group. I mean, they're going to qualify, and they're 4 points ahead, I think, of the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
And you got a pretty easy schedule. I mean, you got Mexico. You don't have to play Mexico. You don't have to play the U.S. again. I think it's like El Salvador and
I think two of the 3 games are at home. I think too.
Yeah. I mean, the U.S. has to go to Mexico to play at the Stadium Azteca, which is it's a nightmare to play. It's always a big game. The fans are just riled up there. Although we've had a great run playing Mexico last year, the Gold Cup and the qualifying this year, but it's, it's kind of a must win. I think they'll qualify, but Canada's got, they got a good young team. They got a lot of young players that are playing, in Europe right now.
Alphonso Davies is probably one of the 10 best players in the world.
He is. Yeah. He had that mitocardia, the issue where he had inflamed heart.
So he missed the last 3 games, and we won all 3 of them.
Yeah, and his club in Germany said that I think he's back training, and he's on point, and they miss him because he's playing in Champions League for Bayern Munich, which is one of like the top teams in the world basically, and he starts for them. And I mean, if you got him, who knows what the World Cup holds, but he's a superstar player, and I mean, you never know what can happen.
So I was just looking at the schedule, and it looks like we got Costa Rica, Panama, and Jamaica. So Panama is obviously the big one because they're trying to qualify, and they're going to really want that win because I guess the top 3 automatically qualify, and then there's like a play-in on 4 and 5.
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me. I muted. I don't think you would have heard that. Um, yeah. So be honest, like I have never followed soccer as closely as I've been following it now. Like I've probably the last 4 games I've watched like every second of. And so this whole like CONCACAF is a little new to me because Canada's never ever qualified. I think we made the World Cup once in
In
'86.
'86, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't even know if like there was a reason why. Like I think maybe they actually really did qualify. But
The
this is the
'86
best team we ever had.
played. I don't think they scored a goal.
No, no. And this year, like depending on how the brackets work, like if we get in a good group, like they might make it to the round of 16.
Yeah, I think
Um,
they have a chance, depending
I
on
mean, they should be a number one seed. If they win CONCACAF, then they get there's only one number one seed in each group. I think the way I heard that it goes.
yeah,
So we may get some bottom feeders, and then maybe we get lucky and our number two is actually Qatar because they're
yeah,
the host team.
they are. And
Yeah,
the way it worked out too in Europe, like Italy and Portugal, which are two just gigantic teams, they didn't play great in the qualifying, so they have the playoff game, and one of those two teams is
is
not
out. Yeah,
is out.
and then the other one could end up being a spoiler because if they come in as like a number four, they end up in your group. As they're supposed to be the patsy, and they may end up being the best team in the group. Depending on how they all work out. So,
Yeah,
it's been really interesting for me, and and we're getting a lot of coverage. The actual viewership for these games, the game that they had again, I think there was one game. I want to say it was the one in Edmonton where it was like -30, and there we had like 1.3 million people watching, which it'd be equivalent of about 11.5 million audience in the States. So, that's pretty big. I
that
mean,
is.
you're talking, and the way that it was going. And the problem is like the next game, there was no fans and, or very little fans and stuff. So, but the momentum is going. And when they get to the World Cup, like we get big audiences for World Cup anyways, but we're going to probably have 3, maybe 4 million people watching, which should be, again, be the equivalent of like 35 million in Canada. So you're talking, a big NFL game is the kind of audiences we're going to get for the Canadian games in the World Cup.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how the weather over there in Qatar,
Mm.
which I
Yeah.
guess is their winter, which is why
Yeah.
they're having November, December, but it's
World
well,
Cup
it's
in
still going to
December.
be hot. Down here it's like it's so humid during the summer, but if you go to a desert country, you go to Vegas, it's still 110 degrees, even though it's dry heat. Hot
So
summer.
are you like you're a big soccer fan?
I am, and I never played soccer growing up. I wish I had.
I used
played
to just
football
play
and-
like just recreationally.
Yeah, I played football and baseball in high school, and in 2002, they had the World Cup in Korea, and I had just got out of college, didn't have a job yet, so it happened during the summer, and I'm just living in an apartment with my friends, and the games would come on at 1, and I'm just like, man, I got nothing to do right now except drink some Rolling Rocks at 1 in the morning and watch soccer. And the U.S. team, I think they won their group and they beat Portugal, and then they went to the round of 16. They beat Mexico, and then they lost to Germany 1-0. But I was just like, man,
Yeah.
that was awesome, and I need a team to follow in Europe. So I knew it was I can't root for Manchester United. They were like the Yankees at that point. So I was at a bar with my friend who's from Ireland, and there was a team with like Carolina Blue, and I'm like, those jerseys are awesome. That's my team. And he's like,
oh, cool.
That's Manchester City, and they were just out of relegation. At that point, they totally stunk, but they got bought out by some sheik from the United Arab Emirates in 2008, and they've totally transformed to, the best team in the Premier League now. So it's been enjoyable watching them. And soccer is probably my second favorite sport now, besides, football.
Yeah.
But even more than the Red Sox and the Bruins, I love my teams, but I just I don't know. I love soccer. It's a great sport to follow.
For me, I tried because we had soccer like every morning on TV. On Saturdays, I shouldn't say every morning. Every Saturday morning, you'd get soccer for like 6 hours, and I really tried, but I just couldn't get into it. And part of the problem is I didn't have a rooting interest. So with Canada, I mean, obviously I do, and it started in the Summer Olympics. I think it was 2012 when the Canadian women's team did really well. And so I was really following them. And then I was kind of starting to understand the game a little bit by following them. So with Canada, like it was just hard to tell, okay, when are the games? When are the important games? Because there's a lot of friendlies and, they're not really important. Although, if you can get a big win over the US or, if you can get a draw with like an England or something like that, then yeah, that's a big deal. But, you don't know, like, are they resting half their players? So with this CONCACAF, it's easy to understand. There's standings, there's points, there's like ramifications. If you finish in the top 3, you're in the World Cup. So for me, that's real easy to get behind. So I've been all in on Team Canada. And really, like for me, like I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I could see it becoming, especially if Canada does well in the World Cup. I think I could be like you were in 2002 and just all of a sudden be all in on soccer. I tried. I will watch the Bayern Munich games when they come on because Alphonso Davies on their team. So in that sense, I have like a bit of a rooting interest, because I want him to do well. And we also have a Canadian league, and there's also the Toronto FC is a good team in the North American League. I'm drawing a blank on what's called.
MLS, yeah.
MLS, yeah. Yeah, it used to be the NASL. I did follow the NASL for a little while, like, when I was a kid, like with Pele and all those guys. Yeah. But so yeah, I'm starting to get into it. My favorite sport is baseball. Like, what Canadian kid doesn't like hockey? And I love hockey and I love the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, just look behind me there. But for me, like baseball, like I will watch every second of every Toronto Blue Jays game every year. And that's 162 games. So that's a commitment. And I love the Jays and I love baseball.
That's on my to-do list. My sister's gone up and stayed at the hotel, and I still call it Sky Dome, but I guess
it's Rogers Center, yeah.
But she stayed at the hotel there where you can watch the game from, you open
from
up
your
the
room,
window.
yeah.
The stadium's right there. That's on my to-do list. I'd like to go see, Jays Sox game.
The only places I've seen a major league game are Minnesota because it's closer, and I've seen a couple games there, and then Sky Dome. Or Rogers Center. We were traveling through Toronto on our way to New York one year. About 8 years ago, we did a trip to New York. And we stopped in Toronto, and I went to a Jays game there, but didn't get to any when I was in New York. So I want to. I want to get, when I go to Dallas this year, if the Angels are playing, the Rangers. If the Rangers are playing, I'll try to hit a game there. So, but that's opening weekend, so it might be hard to get a ticket, or if they're even playing yet, which. It's not looking good.
No, it's not looking. It's not looking good. I'd like to think they would.
Yeah.
I mean, they need
to
get something done, but I'm not expecting it anytime soon.
And then they'll probably be in spring training, I would think, but they probably won't have started this season yet because that's only a month away.
I mean, it's usually pitchers and catchers are here right now, and it's a big, draw, especially for, the Twins and the Red Sox are both in Fort Myers.
Okay.
The Twin Stadium's like 10 minutes away from my house.
Wow.
The Sox one's a little, 20 minutes away and there's more traffic, but I like going to the Twins Stadium just because it's so close and they play the Red Sox since they're right next door to each other, 15 times during spring training. I've seen the Blue Jays and they play up in Dunedin near St. Pete or Clearwater Beach. I've seen them a couple times up there. Not in a while.
I have seen a game at or in Orlando when I don't know if they're still doing it, but the Braves used to train or used to have their spring training there, and they had a game one year. I think
I forget. I think they opened up a new complex somewhere.
Okay, but I think it was the Braves and the Nationals I saw that year. So that was, I don't even know, 10 years ago now. So are you going to Mania?
This year, no, I'm
Okay.
not. I
Yeah.
I
A lot of that
wanted
going
to,
around.
but I don't know. Maybe I'll wait for LA.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to WrestleMania 12 when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
I had bought tickets. I was 18, and then I was still in
Drawing a
high school.
blank.
So
Drawing a blank. Okay, don't tell me. WrestleMania 11 was Hartford. 13 was shit, I'm
Chicago.
drawing a blank there. Was it Anaheim? 12?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
And,
that was Michaels and Bret Hart, right?
yes, and I
Okay.
was a huge Shawn Michaels fan. My friend bought tickets, and then I told my
Chicago, that's where 13 was.
yes, and I told my friends, hey, they bought tickets, and I'm going to. My dad traveled a lot, so he had a bunch of frequent flyer miles, and I mistakenly told my friends, I'm like, oh, don't worry, my dad will cover our airfare. And then I got in trouble at school or something, and my parents were just like, you're not going to.
Oh,
So it's one of those things I bring up to my dad all the time. I'm just like, hey, if you'd let me go to WrestleMania 12, I would have probably made it to Hartford, and then or I would have gone to Harvard, and I'm been elected president. We wouldn't have Trump, so it's kind of your fault that you didn't let me. But I still, and I bust his balls about that all the time. I wish I had gone, but I did not.
so yeah, the only Mania I've ever been to was 32
In
in
Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah. So and because for me, like it's driving distance, kind of. It's a long drive. It's about 20 hours. So it's we did it in one day. This year we're going down, but my wife's coming with me and my daughter Emily and my other daughter Sydney. So they and Sydney's going to help with Emily. So we're going to try to do it in 2 days to get there. It might be 3. I kind of timed it out, and I think we can get to Omaha in 9 hours, and then it's another 9.5 to Dallas from there. So that's the goal, to get to Omaha on the first day. But if we don't, we're leaving on Wednesday, so as long as we get there by Friday night, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I am going to. They're actually having Dynamite in Fort Myers.
Cool.
The Wednesday after Revolution. So
Okay.
I got it's last time I checked in the Observer, it's selling absolutely terribly, which is somewhat embarrassing.
Surprising,
I'm like, geez, I don't want them to be like, all right, well, we're not going to Fort Myers again.
Well, it's probably just because they're run Florida so much, right?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, they've never been down here before. It's not a huge arena, maybe 4,500 seats, somewhere around there.
What are the tickets like? Like $35?
I think it was like $80 for floor seats. I think I'm
That's not bad.
Six row. I've tried. I had the pre-sale and everything. I'm like, man, I want to get front row seats. Bad. I've never sat in front row. It's one of those things I just on my bucket list.
It's hard to get front row.
I went to the G1 in Dallas. My brother and we got third row. And those were expensive. They were like $300.
We got front. Me and my buddy Doug got front row tickets to the pay-per-view in Winnipeg in '94, In Your House 4, and we went and we waited in line. That was back before you could buy them online. You could get them on the phone, but we went and we were there like 5 hours before the box office opened, and we're standing there in line, and we get there. And how many tickets can we buy? Maximum is 10. We want 10 tickets, front row. So we're like, but we were on the wrong side. So you can see the back of our heads a couple of times. So then they did a TV taping in Brandon, which is about a 2-hour drive from Winnipeg, and it was the next night. And so we was like, we're gonna go to Brandon, and this time was just me and him. So we just got 2 tickets, 2 front row. We got it. We did it by phone. Minute the tickets went on sale, we got through. We want 2 front row tickets, the best seats you got, whatever, blah blah blah. And same thing, wrong side. So back of our heads again. But they were cheap. Like the 8 front row tickets, I think, or 10 front row tickets, I think it cost us $300. This was in '94. So you get 10 front row tickets now, you're probably like $5,000 maybe.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
So
it's crazy.
UFC, I got 8th row for the pay-per-view in Winnipeg. I got 6 tickets, and even at that time, they were $350 each. So I figured I'd buy like, 6 tickets and try to sell 5 of them. And didn't work out so well for me. I lost a little bit of money on that one.
Yeah, I was looking to see if I'm like, well, maybe I could go to the Orlando show. And it was someone brought it up in the Fight Game Media Group, and Dave brought it up the other day because I did look, and it was ungodly expensive to go to the Revolution.
The UFC? Oh, the Revolution, yeah.
The Revolution show. I'm just like, holy moly, that's
the secondary market. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was.
Well, do you see there was that girl, and she's fairly new to the group, Deb. She had gotten through, and she was trying to get tickets, and she got like calling in right as soon as the tickets went on sale, and then something happened and she got on hold or whatever. And long story short, her seats that were originally supposed to be $200 ended up costing $1,200 through Ticketmaster. So Ticketmaster is the one gouging. So they're charging because they have their own secondary market service.
Yeah.
So they're charging you $1,200 for a $200 seat because they can get it.
Yeah.
And so when you looked at Dave Singh in The Observer talking about, the secondary markets are making all this money, it's actually the ticket brokers that are doing it in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there are, like there's SeatGeek and, stuff like that, or, maybe that's not like there's StubHub and whatever that are like purchasing these tickets and then reselling them for, a lot. I had a ticket for All Out, and I could have sold it for huge money, like the last one with the CM Punk debut and Danielson and Cole, and then I couldn't go across the border, so I ended up selling it to somebody for face value. Just I didn't want to make money off it. I just wanted somebody else to be able to go, a friend, So my Mania tickets are covered, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a few connections, so it's kind of nice. But I'd have no problem paying. If we get down there soon enough, I'll probably try to go see the NXT show because I have a feeling it's going to be good. Dolph Ziggler and Braun Breaker probably, and who knows? Hopefully they'll try to do some cool stuff. But
do they have a bunch of independent shows going? I haven't.
Oh yeah, I would imagine. I haven't. TNA is running, or Impact is running there. ROH, their big comeback show, I think is on the Friday. I usually GCW, I'm sure will run like all weekend. Joey Janela Spring Break, I think, is usually.
Oh yeah, they always.
Yeah, probably the Thursday night at like midnight or something. So I mean, if we get down there soon enough, I'll try to go. But my wife will flip out on me if I'm, going to all these independent wrestling shows while, Emily's in the hotel room with her. So, I have to try to kind of play it by ear. But I think I can get away with going to NXT because, I might even bring Emily. I don't know. We'll see. But so we've almost gone 40 minutes here. So it's been good. I'll have to have you on again in a couple months. I'm starting to go through second guests again, but I've also got a few people that I still want to get on a first time. So this has been really cool, and we should talk more like on, on DMs and whatever. If you ever want to chat, hit me up. So Ryan, I asked Ryan if he had anything to plug, and he said no. So there's his Twitter handle, but
I'm active. I'm usually active in the Wednesday night Dynamite thread.
Yeah, absolutely.
I make a lot of jokes. Some work, some don't, but that's that's normally what I do.
And and if you like AEW like we both do, you can check out my my podcast on the Fight Game Media Patreon, the Dynamite Show that I do every Wednesday with Jeff Hawkins. And then there's the free one as well on Fight Game Media, which is The Boom with James McDaniel and Kevin Ely, which you kind of look a little like Kevin Ely. I don't know if you've seen him before, but
no, I have. Yeah, I've listened to that before. And,
check out the show I did.
James was doing like a live feed on Wednesdays for a little bit too. A couple.
Oh, was he? Yeah, they did a video show a couple weeks ago.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's actually kind of cool. It's just like their two faces, and then like the graphics and everything is really cool. I'm still learning this whole YouTube thing. So you're like, well, I've been doing it a while now, so you're not a guinea pig, but you go back and watch a few of my early shows. Those guys were guinea pigs. I was still learning, but I'm starting to get the hang of this. So I want to thank you for coming on again, Ryan. We'll catch up when Canada plays their next game. I think
absolutely.
a couple weeks away. And I'll definitely have you on again in a few months. So for Ryan, I've been Grampa Dez, and this has been Cup of Joe with Grampa Dez.